Welcome to Lesson 6. Learn impact versus difficulty when it comes to decision making. One of my quotes when I think about this model is, if we all walk together, we will see. A lot of different ways of walking together, whether it's Gemma walks, walking outside the building, whatever it may be. What that walk is all about is calibration and understanding what everybody's seeing. The only way to do that is to walk together. And I always love this picture of the three dogs running with the same stick. A lot of times we'll run with the same problem and everybody's going different directions. It's pretty hard to have everybody run in the same direction, but this tool will help give you the options for everybody to see where they are and where the problems are and create that alignment. And that picture on the right where everybody's huddled around the computer, whether it's a computer, whether it's a shop floor, wherever it may be, everybody has to see the same problems and understand what those problems are. Because once you create the alignment, you can all run together, as you see in the picture with the dogs. So understanding impact versus difficulty. It's not easy to make decisions. It seems like a simple statement, but simple diagrams help you choose the activities you should prioritize and the ones you should avoid. And it's to make sure the most of your opportunities. So a lot of words there, but basically what it comes back to is it's aligning people. What are the opportunities? What are the things that we should focus on? And what are the most important things that we should focus on? Because again, resources are tight. Money's tight, people are tight, unemployment's low. It's hard to get backing to do things. So it's important to focus on the finite few instead of the great many. Often there can be disagreements about what to focus on within the team. I want to call this out because when you do this tool, it's going to create conflict, and conflict is never any fun. A lot of people try to avoid it. In this situation with this tool, you have to generate it. And a common thing that I say is if you don't create the friction, then the friction will come for you. And what I mean by that is, as a leader, and you're watching this because obviously you're a leader and wanting to help the business be better, you have to generate some conflict. And what I mean by that is you got to challenge what people think are the biggest problems. Overcome this by walking together. Anytime I'm dealing with a conflict with somebody and we can't agree on what to focus on, I always take a walk, and literally and figuratively take a walk with them. And I ask them, what do they see? What do they want to focus on? What are they seeing when we stop at a cell in Pure Piping that's having delivery issues? What do they see? Do they see the changeover cart that needs to be 5S? Or do they see the operator that's standing around? They blame the operator. I'm calibrating to understand what they're focusing on. Frequently, you need to calibrate your eyesight with that person. You begin to see things that you don't see before, and vice versa. Because ultimately, you can't force people to see what you see, but you can understand what they see. And then you can actually meet somewhere and go together on the road of improvement. So, this tool is about creating alignment. You need a tool to bring everybody together. So this diagram I'm going to show you in a few slides is really easy. The complexity is very low, but what it does is it creates that friction, but it also puts people on stage to talk about the problem, and they have to articulate what's going on. When you do this, you start to agree on resources to solve the problem. And what I mean by that is, as people argue about what's right, what's wrong, we start to say, well, what's really important and where do we need to apply the resources? I'm going to walk step by step on how to use this tool. And again, it's not very complex, but brainstorm ideas for improvement or solution to an active problem. Ensure it starts alone. One key thing about this is you see a yellow Post-it down there with my initials on there. You do this by yourself. So let's imagine there's 10 of us in a room and we're talking about issues and opportunities that we're having in the facility. I will take a Post-it and I will write down one idea per Post-it. But I do this by myself. And then all the other team members are writing down ideas. There is no limit. Texas Hold'em, no limit. Put down as many ideas as you want. There are no wrong answers. This is where, as a facilitator, you have to make sure you protect not only the audience, but the participants. Don't let people rain on other people's parades because they think that the idea is silly or it's not really a problem or they don't understand. People can be downright nasty in this session because ultimately they're challenging other people, so you have to be the facilitator and protect people. Let them identify their thoughts quietly, but then they're going to do it in front of the group. On the Post-it, it's important everyone is brief and bold in what they write on there. What I mean by that is I participated in one of these where they used the big Post-its and they literally wrote a children's book on the Post-it. We don't need that. They need to be brief ideas because ultimately you may be looking at several issues, not just one. So it's one issue per Post-it. Now everybody's done writing their ideas on the Post-it. You're going to draw on a large poster board, a whiteboard, whatever you want to do, you're going to draw this diagram. And what's critical is if you think about 10 people, 10 ideas, that's 100 Post-its. So it needs to be pretty big. And the Post-its need to stick. That's another failure I see with people is that the Post-its don't stick on there. But what they're going to do is they're going to start to put the ideas on the board. And what they're going to find is they're going to say low effort, high impact. So you're going to say, what does that mean, low effort? Well, if it was low effort, shouldn't we already be doing it? Low effort can be resources. So we talked about Kanban before. Kanban doesn't take a lot of resources, but it's a high effort. It's really hard to do. So implementing Kanban in a warehouse may be in the upper right hand. But to implement Kanban in toiletries, maybe that's the low right hand. It's a low effort, but it's a high impact because it's creating the discipline to use Kanban in the future. But the reason why this is circled is because that's where you want to focus your time. Anything that's in the lower right-hand quadrant, those are the things that you want to go after. So how do we get to this point? Each participant goes up to the stage and they have to read out their idea and put it where they believe it should be. What's critical about this is not to pick on people, it's to see what they're thinking. Go back to that walk that I was talking about, calibrating with somebody. When you take a walk with them and you have them articulate what they see, you're doing that now without actually physically walking, but they are up on stage. There's a level of accountability for their idea of what they want to focus on, but then they actually put it where they think it should go. There's another reason why that's important. If I have a team member that says, this is really low effort and it's high impact, and I disagree with them, now's not the time to say anything. So let all 10 people with all 10 Post-its go on the board. It's going to get busy on the board, but that's okay. But what you just did was you created an inclusive marketing, as I call it. Everybody's involved now. Everybody knows what's going on, and everybody has an idea. But as a facilitator now, you've got to go back up there. So if you're leading this, or somebody from the lean team, or maybe it's the plant manager, they have to go up there now and talk about each one of those Post-its, and they have to create that friction. And what that means is voting. So you're going to ask people, hey, is this in the right place? It's not necessarily is it a good idea or not, but is it in the right place? We'll get to the good idea or not good idea in here in a second. The reason why I say that is it may be an idea that's really good, but it's misplaced on there. So if we go back to this, someone may say in the upper left-hand corner, it's high effort, low impact. But in reality, it may be a high impact, but it's high effort too. So that's where the facilitator's got to come in and move those back and forth until you land on a set number. So now, we're going to take what you've learned and utilize this tool to ensure that we maximize your time. When you want to pull up multiple ideas from 5S, standard work, visual management, and Kanban, I want you to apply the same thing with your team. So if you go back to every lesson, we've asked you at each step of the way to get your team involved and write their ideas out. I said 2, and in this example I said 10. There is no wrong answer, but what you should press for is quantity. When you're brainstorming, it's all about quantity. Key thing to learn here, when you're looking at like our peer piping issue, we had delivery issues, we had 5S issues, we had component issues, multiple problems. But if you get the team involved and you start to say, what are all the problems that are plaguing the organization, you'll start to see, okay, well that's a low impact one. We don't need to worry about that right now. You must create the friction before the friction comes to you. Here's what's the beauty of this tool, is when you're done, you have a list of priorities that everybody in the room has agreed upon. The reason why I say everybody's agreed upon is because if they've said that idea is a high impact, low effort, they will provide resources to execute it. You've gone through now 5 lessons. You have multiple ideas of what to work on. This tool will help you prioritize with your team what to focus on. Write them down and understand them. And then what are the things that you're going to focus on first, second, third, and fourth, and how are you going to resource them?